On February 12, 2013, the Malaysian military, along with the Police Special Branch and the General Operations Force, imposed a cordon in Lahad Datu, Sabah. This was to contain about 200 armed intruders from the Sulu Islands who attempted to revive their claim to the state. As the security forces were locked in combat to defend the nation, PKR Vice President Nurul Izzah Anwar passed disparaging remarks about the role of the Police General Operations Force and Special Branch.
Semua polis itu ramai, kebanyakan besar dihantar jadi polis hutan. General Operations Force untuk lawan komunis dulu. You do not need, okay? General Operations Force now. Komunis semua cimpeng pun nak bagi mai balik Malaysia.
Nurul Izzah's statement insulted the sacrifices of the General Operations Force personnel who were killed by the Sulu terrorists on March 2, 2013. Nurul Izzah also criticized the Police Special Branch, saying they were better off doing other tasks.
Polis dah cukup. You hanya mansuhkan Special Branch. You pastikan mereka jadi pegawai penyiasat.
Once again, PKR, through Nurul Izzah, showed what its true colours would be if given the mandate to administer the country. There will be no additions to the police force, while the Special Operations Unit and the Police Special Branch would be abolished. The fact that PKR can issue such shallow statements when Malaysian soil is under threat of armed intruders exposes an unpatriotic opposition.
Saya punya pandangan dalam hal yang seperti ini, hal berkaitan dengan kedaulatan negara dan keselamatan nasional, tidak wajar sama sekali mana-mana pihak mengambil kesempatan untuk mengolahnya dalam bentuk politik.
At a time when the nation needs all quarters to be united and stand by it in handling a most serious national security crisis in several decades, the opposition has ridiculed the threat. PKR even made use of a former army commander to put down the capability of the security forces. Swayed by opposition sentiments, Tan Sri Muhammad Hashim Hussain, who retired in 2002 and then joined PKR, belittled the capability of the military. The threat of more than 200 armed terrorists in Lahad Datu was equated to the crisis involving the 27 members of the Al-Mauna sect in Kampung Sau in 2000 that was overcome in 4 days.
We actually managed to resolve the problem in 4 days. But of course, people will say it's a different scenario, it's apples and oranges. But within 4 days, mind you, why? Because of this very clear command structure, a rapid deployment, clear orders.
The statement was condemned by the commander who had handled the operation in Sau, Lieutenant General retired Dato Sri Zaini Muhammad Said.
Mungkin inilah sebabnya mereka berani datang. Sebab ada orang dan bekas-bekas jeneral dan pegawai sendiri katakan kita ni kurang kabut sikit, kita ni tak betul. Mungkin ada agenda personal pribadi mereka. Dia tahu sebenarnya kemampuan kita. Kemampuan kita sebenarnya kuat. Jadi jangan dipelekehkan oleh orang-orang yang sebenarnya ada niatnya lain.
Besides Nurul Izzah and Muhammad Hashim, PKR Vice President Tian Chua also hurled an accusation alleging that the terrorist intrusion in Lahad Datu was a conspiracy of the UMNO government. Tian made the libelous statement in PKR's official portal and it was repeated in his ceramah or talks.
Cerita ni pelik. 100 orang cuba mengambil alih Sabah untuk kembalikan Sabah kepada kuasa di bawah kuasa Sultan Sulu. Ini saya rasa UMNO ni apa macam-macam mereka boleh reka.
Tian's slander was meant to suggest that the security forces personnel agreed to participate in a political conspiracy of the government which sacrificed some of their own members. Tens of police reports were lodged against Tian after he refused to apologize.
Apa pasal perasaan kami di Sabah? Kau pandai cakap, kau punya suka. Ini bukan politik. Ini benar
Tien, Nurul Izzah and the others in the opposition pack seem to have obtained the cue to hurl wild accusations against the government from Anwar Ibrahim. Anwar used the intrusion in Lahadatu to intimidate the people into hating the Barisan Nasional, allegedly for having reacted late in using force to overcome the terrorist threat.
Betul kita tak mau jadikan ini isu politik, tapi kita kena tanya apa pasal keselamatan boleh biar begitu lama.
In going for political gain, Anwar neglected the need for Malaysia to use every diplomatic means available to avoid bloodshed.
Kita bukan berlawan dengan satu negara atau satu tentera tau. Ini datang senyap-senyap duduk di satu kawasan. Jadi kita pun cuba memahami apa sebenarnya muslihat dia orang ni kan. Namun dalam hal ni seperti yang kita telah diberitahu, kemudian mungkin ada usaha untuk mengambil satu langkah jalan keluar di mana proses negotiation itu berjalan.
However, Anwar and the opposition dismissed all these considerations so long as they could make use of the Lahadatu intrusion to ridicule the government and the security forces. The question that should be contemplated is who harnessed political gain by funding the foreign armed group in its intrusion into Sabah. Evidently, Anwar has indicated before and after the intrusion by the Sulu terrorists that Malaysia will lose Sabah.
Apa sebab goyang nanti jawab Najib Sabah nak hilang.
The Philippine media linked the intrusion in Sabah to the opposition in Malaysia. Even WikiLeaks exposed the intention of Philippine rebel Nur Miswari to conquer Sabah as well as his relationship with Anwar. The history of Anwar and PKR is tinged with efforts to harness foreign elements to intervene in the domestic affairs of Malaysia. When Anwar was in the government, he introduced the harsh economic policies of Michael Candaces, the managing director of the International Monetary Fund (IMF) at one time. The harsh policies of the IMF destabilized Indonesia's economy in 1997 and 98. Malaysia almost suffered a similar fate under Anwar as the finance minister then. And when Anwar was sacked over allegations of sodomy in 1998, his eldest daughter Nurul Izzah was deployed to seek the support of the then Philippine President Joseph Estrada. In Kuala Lumpur, when another of Anwar's former staff, Saiful Bukhari Azlan, claimed that he was sodomized by Anwar in 2008, the opposition leader attempted to drag the Turkish government into Malaysian politics. Anwar sought help from the Turkish government over his second sodomy case and used the diplomatic premises to slander the Malaysian government.
Every time Anwar opens his mouth, you have to think very, very carefully. Is what he is saying the truth? Is there any basis, in fact? And subsequently, we will find that there is no basis.
Anwar also targeted Australian politicians to help with the PKR campaign to ridicule and insult the government and national public institutions. One person who helped Anwar a lot in this is Nick Xenophone. He is an independent senator invited to Malaysia repeatedly by Anwar to issue statements ridiculing the judicial system and democracy in Malaysia. This sequence of events gives an important indication as to who could have been the mastermind behind the armed terrorist intrusion in Sabah. Those who promoted and funded the intrusion are evidently prepared to use the international network to spark chaos to fulfill their political agenda.
Agak rasa sanksi dan gusar seolah macam wujud satu konspirasi dalam hal ini apabila Miswari dikatakan berjumpa dengan Datuk Anwar dan berlakulah peristiwa di Lahadatu itu.
The Philippine and international media are actively probing the Lahadatu intrusion and its link to the Malaysian opposition.
Apabila Datuk Seri Anwar dalam kempen mereka kan mengatakan seolah bahawa Sabah akan hilang ini, dia seolah-olah macam in the word the confirmation tau, menunjukkan satu kepastian tau, macam pengabsahan terhadap satu perancangan
yang dibuat.
What comes as most surprising is that Anwar is willing to entertain the suggestion by certain quarters in the Philippines to negotiate with the Malaysian government on the claim to Sabah.
Dalam kes tuntutan itu rundingan seperti biasa boleh diteruskan.
Anwar's statement is the official stand of the opposition pact. As such, the question arises as to the fate of Sabah if the Pakatan opposition is given the mandate to administer Malaysia. On the other hand, there is no such doubt about the commitment of the Barisan Nasional government. Its stand on the same issue was clear and firm.
Dalam soal keselamatan dan kedaulatan Sabah, kerajaan akan melakukan apa saja untuk menjamin keamanan dan keselamatan serta kedaulatan negeri Sabah.
As the nation weeps over the fallen heroes of Lahadatu, Anwar, his daughter Nurul Izzah, and Tian Chua sowed the seeds of hatred towards the government and ridiculed the security forces. Instead of showing patriotism, PKR and its allies in the opposition pact are only passionate about politicizing the sacrifices of the security forces to win the general election.